Hi, my name is Lara Kudaisi. I help people heal from emotional pain, trauma, childhood dysfunctions for a happily ever after. My story in a nutshell is that I healed from having a child at 19, 14 heartbreaks, 15 abortions, and a divorce. I have created a program titled How They Heal. Welcome to another exciting episode on How They Healed. You know how we do it here. We bring people from all walks of life who have been through trauma, pain, dysfunction, so many things, and they come here to share their journey of how they've healed, how they're thriving, how they're doing great things in life, so that we can encourage people like you. And as usual, you know I'm your host, Lara Kudaisi. Today, I'm talking about something very different. We're talking different angles today because my guest is very special. So we're talking about, growing up without a father figure. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about weight loss. We're talking about God. We're talking about all this. How do you become a wholesome person as a human being? And my guest is somebody that I am so excited to have. She's one hot, sexy mama. And she's a weight loss coach. She's a mom. She's a lover of God. She's a philanthropist. And guys, please welcome with me Damola Ladejobi, also known as Coach Damz of Ask Damz.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And an honor to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here. I see what you do. By the way, you look hot. I've mentioned that before.
Thank you.
We've talked with different...
You look good too.
Thank you. So, today I want to talk about, firstly, you've shared a little bit of your story with me earlier, but I want you to share with people. So the angle where, your family growing up, teenager years, and how it's affected everything else, you've done so far. So just walk us through that journey.
If I'm supposed to walk you through that journey, we'll probably be here for another 10 hours. So I'm going to try to
just,
make it as brief as possible. Okay, so my name is Damola Ladejobi. A lot of people call me Damz. I grew up in a single parent home, a very loving single parent home.
Which one of them?
So I grew up with my mom.
Okay.
My mom took on the role of a mother and a father. So she was my mom and my dad at the same time. For the longest time, I used to call her king woman, boss lady. My mom was everything to me. She is everything to me. She's still alive, actually. She was and she is still everything to me. But I grew up without my father. And it's a bit of a dramatic story because I really, as a child, between ages 1 to 5 years old, I loved my father so much. But I remember between ages 5 to 8 years old, he just disappeared for about 3 years. And then he came back when I was 8 years old, and then, I'm like, okay, so why did you leave? And he's like, well, I never really left, but no major explanation, but I just moved on, like, okay, you're back here, I love you, you say you love me, let's carry on our father-daughter relationship. And then he left again when I was 8 years old, and I didn't see my father until I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And so I was always, another 5 years. So I was always looking for my father, and one thing I always tell people, sorry if I'm going to go into a little bit of the spiritual angle, because when people say stuff like, oh, God is a loving father, for the longest time, I couldn't relate. It took me over 3 decades for me to actually understand what it means to have a loving father, God as a loving father. And even with my relationship, with my marriage, I've been married for 11 years, it'll be 12 years in June. Because of the hurt that I went through as a child, I didn't see my father as a teenager. Even when I graduated from uni, he told me he was going to call me, didn't show up. Very long story. I wanted my husband to be like a father figure to me. And so I literally just wanted somebody who was just going to baby me. Luckily, I found somebody that was going to baby me. But even after a while, he had to tell me, he said to me, I can never forget, I think it was our first year of marriage, and he said to me, Damz, I'm trying my best, but I'm not your father. I'm your husband, you know. And I just had to take a back seat and just realize that you can't make, he's young. My husband is, young to me anyway. My husband is 40 years old. I'm 35. But I wanted him to like just baby me to the core. And it was quite frustrating for him. So I was a very needy wife. But I thank God that I caught it on time and I was able to right my wrongs. My wrongs were a lot. Were a lot. I was able to right a lot of my wrongs. My story is very long.
So do you want to share some of those wrongs with us? So that
with marriage or teenagehood, or should I say
with
childhood?
Marriage, for instance, how that affected your marriage.
Okay, so with marriage, because I had an absent father, I didn't. Actually, I was going to say I didn't, but I still. Let me put it this way: I've been married for almost 11 years, and my husband being away from me for 1 week can make me feel sick.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. So he knows. So he has. He has accepted. I allow him one. He can do his 2 weeks, sometimes and 3 weeks, but he knows. So when he's away, he'll just call me. There's no need for long. So he already knows that, okay, Damz, this girl just wants love and affection. And since she wants it, I will kill her with the love and affection. So that's what works for us. I don't like to see him hurt. He doesn't like to see me hurt. That's what has made our marriage work. But having said that, in the early stages, I remember I wanted to be with him all the time. I wanted to follow him to work. I'll follow him to work. In fact, I would sit down, in the spare room at the office just because I didn't want to lose sight of him. Because I'm like, I had met a lot of bad guys in my teenagehood, and I was one of those that, at a particular point in time, I was actually okay with not being married. In fact, I said to myself, my father wasn't around. A lot of my aunties, they're not married, so they're not married anymore, they're divorced, so what's the big deal? At the point in time when I got married, I actually wasn't searching for marriage. I just wanted to just be an omo girl, as Nigerians would call it, and he was just wanted to be an omo boy, but it just happened that we just happened to fall in love with each other and, stay in love with each other. But I was a bit of a nuisance. I used to be a crybaby. So if I didn't get my way, I would cry, or I would just do the silent treatment. So we don't shout in our marriage. You would never hear things like, oh, you're stupid, no. It has never been a part of us. And that's just who we are outside marriage also. But I was very, very needy, extremely needy. Wow. So I'm still needy now. Actually, I'm not needy. I'm not needy now, but okay, let's say I'm just...
Small, like needy, small, a little bit needy.
So I used to, maybe I used to be needy 100%. So, but now I'm needy maybe 80%. I'm just kidding. I'm a lot better.
You're a lot better.
I'm a lot better, but I'm an independent woman, but I love my husband. I like being around my husband, but I understand that he needs his space. He's a guy. I'm not even just being a guy. He's a human being.
Yes.
I love my space now also. So it's okay. If you want to go on holiday on your own, that's fine. If I want to go on holiday on my own, that's fine too. We trust each other. Yes, the mess ups along the way.
But that was not a case in the past where...
In the past, if my husband wanted to go on holiday, he would have to prep at least 5 or 6 people to start talking to me 6 months beforehand. Yeah, because I'm like, where are you going? What are you going to do there? What do you... Yeah, it was that bad. So, but I married my own. Yes. But I won't say it in what are you going to do there? It's just be like, so you're just going to go? So you're just going to leave me?
You being like a child.
Thank you. Then
so
I'll
you're just instill that child phase of, daddy,
or
why
I would just,
going?
on the day that he's traveling or the night before, I will not even talk. This happened for 2 years and I'm married actually. I won't speak to him. He will try his best to talk to me. I'll just be frowning, just until he gets back and he's like, Damz, we sat down to have a conversation. He's like, Damz, I can't keep up with this. I actually can't. Sometimes I just want to just go out and have fun with the boys. I'm not your father that's going to just disappear one day and just not show up. I'm not that kind of father. And he showed that. He literally proved himself to me over the years and to my kids also. My husband is the best. He's the best daddy I've seen in the world. I'm sorry. And this is not to sound cliche. My husband is, my daughter is 11 years old. And my husband is my daughter's best friend. Because my kids can share anything and everything with my husband without fear of being judged. And he would always just put them in the right path, which is kind of like what he did to me. So I always say that he's he's wiser than
His years.
Yeah, than his years. And that's why he was able to cope with me and actually mold me into the person that I am today. So I always tell people that this Damz that you're seeing today, you know, she went through a transition process. You know, it's a process where I had to heal and allow my husband to be him. And he also showed me what it means to allow me to be me.
Okay, so but you said earlier that he said I'm not your dad.
Yeah, I'm not your dad.
So but how did you share that with him?
Yeah.
Before you got married,
he knew.
that my dad. No, he knew your dad didn't grow up with you, or you didn't grow up with your dad either. But like, did you share that this because of that I'm like this, or I'm a certain way?
He knew already. In fact, he said to me, I know that's why you're like this. So I'm gonna try to be the best husband I can be to you. I'm not your dad. I will take care of you. I will love you. I'll give you everything that you need. I don't know how to be your dad. I know how to be your husband. So I can love you the way a husband would love you, but I can't father you. Yeah. I'm already how old? I was in my 20s when I got married. Well, he handled it very well. We had a conversation, my husband and I, and that's why people ask me, how did you guys manage to remain friends and all of that stuff? Why are you saying you don't fight? We do fight, but one thing that we've been able to do is communicate. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, I don't go to bed quiet. I look at the circumstances, the situation. I look for his mood. If I want to say something to him that maybe it may not really sit well with him, I look for when he's in a good mood, and I sit down. I'm like, you know what you did? You really, really hurt me. And that's how he's able to talk to me. He's like, Damz. So he knows that I'm a bit of a baby. I'm better now, actually.
So I was really going to come there. Like, so what is your relationship with your dad? Like you said, you didn't grow up with him.
My dad is late now.
Years. Oh, he's late. So, but
Yeah.
before he died, how was your relationship with him? How do you relate with him?
Our relationship, after a while, I didn't care. I didn't care. So after a while, I stopped being a loving daughter. I became this hard girl that I was ready to give him a piece of my mind at any point in time. But you know what? Even giving my father, may his soul rest in perfect peace, a piece of my mind when he was alive, didn't make a difference in any shape or form.
It didn't make any difference.
It never moved him for a second. Not for a second. But you know what? And that's why I'm very big on, mental health and mental wellness. I actually do not believe that somebody in their right frame of mind could behave like that.
I was going to go there. That do you know his story? Do you know why he keeps leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back?
So apparently, when my father died, that's when I started trying to make investigations. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this so that all women and mothers, they need to, should I say, explain things to your kids better. My mom is a fantastic mother. She still is a fantastic mother. But my mom, I think she's still bitter about my dad. But one of the things that she needs to realize, and I always have to keep explaining to her, is when my father died, that's when I started hearing stories like, oh, he was abandoned by his mother at age 5. He used to cry every day. He would sit outside their compound and cry from morning till night. So you can imagine that somebody like that was psychologically damaged.
Yeah. Yes.
Apparently, my father disappeared for 11 years and nobody in his family looked for him.
Where he was.
I only found that out 3 years ago. My mom couldn't understand my dad. She still can't understand what happened. But I understand because I'm looking at it from an external angle now.
Yeah.
And I realized that, look, there's no way, absolutely no way somebody in their right frame of mind can do this. And I started looking at, I started studying about, mental wellness, all sorts of things. I'm not a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, so I can't diagnose him. But one thing I know for sure is that he had a very dysfunctional childhood and an extremely dysfunctional adulthood also.
Yeah, because so he replicated what happened to him.
Exactly.
So he gave to you what his parents gave to
Thank
him.
you.
So that's why we always talk to people, that especially parents. You have to get help. You have to make sure you heal where you're coming from, heal your childhood, so that you don't replicate what they gave you to your own kids. So how did this aspect now affect your relationship with God? Because you were saying earlier that you couldn't relate to God as a loving father, and that's what everybody who believes in God sees God as. So
how did I start? I thank God for my husband. Let me just say, because my husband got me into going to church and developing a relationship with God over just religion.
Okay.
So before I used to practice religion, and religion for me was, I knew how to cast and bind, you know.
Okay.
Any spirits against my whatever, you know, that's what my mom, the MFM, all of these things. My mom, so casting and binding was a normal thing. So I saw God as, you know, this warrior. Just is like a warrior God, and he is a warrior God.
Yes.
But I didn't see the love. I couldn't understand that. Oh, that loving father side. So when people sing songs like, "You're a good, good father. That's who you are," I was singing with them, and I'm like, oh. But deep down in my mind, I actually didn't believe any of that in any shape or form. But I'm thankful for my journey, because one of the things that I feel that God did for me personally was, he first of all allowed me to experience the love of a father via my husband without being manipulative. Because remember, it was quite manipulative before. Yeah. And then he allowed me to actually witness what it was like for a father to love his kids. My husband loves our children so much that he doesn't want them to lack anything. Seeing the kids uncomfortable in any shape or form, my husband does not like it. He's one of those, like, if he sees my daughter's side, he can actually go into her room. And then maybe I've gone out, I'll come back in, I'll meet them gisting. I'm like, you people are still talking. I was like, I knew there was something wrong with her. So I went to go and that's how it is with my son also. So I went to go and speak to her. She told me this, she told me that. In fact, sometimes I'm the one that's the problem. So sometimes they talk about me
you when you're away.
And I'm not there. She's like, oh, damn, you need to be a little bit calmer with the kids, blah, blah, blah. Then I know that they've had a conversation about me behind my back. But anyway, back to what I was saying.
About
God allowed me to experience what it meant to see what it meant to have a loving father. And then I thank God for the people that God actually surrounded me with. Especially in the past 7 years of my life, especially, aside my husband. He gave me friends that fully understood what it meant to have a loving father, a doting father. And even when I couldn't see it, people say things like, oh, unquestionable God. No, I don't do unquestionable God. Before, I used to be an unquestionable, oh, no, whatever happens, que sera, sera, what will be, will be. No, I'm like, God, no, what will be, it's not a matter of what will be, will be. If something bad is going to happen to me, I want to, what is the reason? And that's why for me, I feel like I have a lot of beauty for Ashley's story, and I really don't even know where to start from, because I can talk about different angles. But one of the things that I started to do was, I don't want to call it test God, but I started having very honest conversations with God. And so, if I'm angry, I will sit down. I can sit down in my room the way I'm talking to you right now. And I'm like, God, I'm actually I'm livid. So how are you going to help me on this? How are you going to help me with this? And when I can't talk, if I'm too angry to talk, I write it down. I actually write letters to God. I did a lot of that during the COVID season. And I literally started getting healing and therapy directly from God. I know that sounds quite weird, but I started asking and demanding to feel that love of a father. Like, okay, what do I do? How do I post? How do I dress? What should I say when I get there? There's something I tell a lot of people. People say, oh, I just want to be like you, Dad. You're just there's just something about you, and you're not even, I just wish I could just talk like you. I'm like, I'm actually a very shy person, So even when I started Ask Damz, coming out to talk, people would invite me to speak, I would not go. Because I just didn't know how to, I didn't want to be involved in any form of public speaking. But one of the processes I had to go through was submit my will and my emotions to God. And one of the things that I prayed for was to be able to stop being shy and timid and to actually start, trying my best to communicate with people.
Do you think your lack of father figure influenced, your shy or timid nature? But before you answer that, I'd like to go on break, So when we come back, we'll talk about how growing up without a father, affected her life. Did it make her timid? Did it make her shy? Did it make her... So many did it, But when we come back, the conversation continues. Welcome back. Before we went on break, we were talking about, growing up without a father and how it affects children to your adulthood and all of that. And I still have Coach Damz here with me in the house. So I asked you before we went on break that did your lack of father figure affect your shy? Did it make you shy or timid? How did that play out?
Okay, so let me say, it did affect me, but I put on a facade. I masked it up with being, how would I put it? What's the right word to use? I was just this very, you wouldn't know, I was very confident, but behind that confidence, there was also that part of me that just kind of lacked self-esteem. I needed validation. I needed constant validation. So I felt like, one of the ways that I could win my father's attention was by being the best in whatever it is in class. My father only wanted to hear that I came first. And imagine somebody disappearing for 8 years and the first thing you're asking for is my report card and my position in class.
I hope he's asking for that time or the past 8 years that
he would ask for all sorts. He was never paying the school fees, by the way, but he would ask, and then if at any point in time I was maybe in the double digits in secondary school for any reason, he would just be like, he would give that to my mom as an excuse for not paying school fees. Meanwhile, I never paid my school fees.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe just one, maybe when I was like a year up until age 3 or 4. But anyway, so I was very, as an attention seeker, I liked it. I was actually very confident. I was only shy when it comes to public speaking. But when it came to partying and stuff like that, I'll be the leader of the gang. Let's go to this club. Let's go to this party. That's who I was. I was very confident, but I just didn't like public speaking in any shape or form. I didn't like. So it's kind of weird because I call myself an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
It's very weird. So if you're a man watching this, or even if you're a single parent mom, single parent dad, whatever it is, you need to be able to validate your children, and that's one thing that my mom did.
Yeah.
I don't think up until now, I should probably go and contest for Miss World or something.
Wow.
My mom gives me a compliment all the time. I'm sure if my mom should see me today, she would have something good to say. So I had that confidence.
So I was going to ask you about your mom as regards that. So she loves you, she validated you, she made you feel comfortable.
My mom spoiled
But how
us.
did she talk about your dad?
So with my mom and it was so in fact, and it's kind of my mom is a Christian to the core. She's a tongue-speaking scabashing, as some people will call it. But one of the things that I know, she's just recently got with the program, with the whole, forgiving and healing and everything. But you can't blame her. This is somebody that you told her that you're going to spend the rest of her life with her.
Yes.
Then you disappeared and left her with 2 children under the age of 2 years old.
Wow.
A week after she had your second child. So that's traumatic for her alone. Wow. I'm really glad that I got the chance to forgive my dad. Yes, it did affect me as a child. It affected me as a teenager. To the point where I actually got to a point where I was not interested in being married. I think I've told you about that before. Yeah. So it's so ironic how my friends who were the extremely good girls are the ones that got married really late. I got married very early. I remember people then saying, what are you doing? What are you? And I mean, it's almost 12 years and I'm looking forward to going back home to see my husband today.
That's so beautiful to hear. Talking about weight loss with women, because I know that's what, you specialize in.
Men, women, children.
Men, women, and all of that. But how does lack of good parental background or good family system, maybe husband, wife, how does it affect people gaining weight? Does it really have a role to play?
It has a very huge role to play, and that's why, and that's what made me birth Ask Damz Wellness Institute more than 2 years ago. Okay. Because I realized that if you have not walked the journey of weight loss, it's very easy if you're naturally slim to dish out advice. So one thing I was stop eating. Stop eating this or stop eating that. Just exercise and, just cut down your food. You're eating too much. Nothing irritates me more than people who make statements like that. Because people have a lot of underlying root conditions. I've seen so many things. You see this gorgeous woman out there, maybe she's a bit overweight. You don't know if she's struggling with an abusive husband. You don't know if she's struggling with kids that have special needs. And that could lead her into a binge eating episode, emotional eating disorders, all sorts of things. And you now just want to give that person a meal plan and tell them to go and follow it. No, it's not going to work. And so one of the things I like to make sure, and I like to monitor rather, is What are your stress levels? And it's even on my application form. I want to know what your lifestyle is like. How many kids do you have? What are your working hours? How much sleep are you getting? If I'm able to sort that part out, your medical conditions, if I'm able to sort out the groundwork, the root cause of your weight gain, then we can now start talking about food. We can't talk about food before that. It's like putting the cart before
the horse. No
wonder
people
before the cart.
Gain, lose,
Thank
gain,
you.
lose.
So that's why you have
lose.
a lot of yo-yo dieting.
Yo-yo dieting.
I have people who they tell me stuff like, somebody actually in the beginning of Ask Damz, actually somebody actually dropped out of my plan because she's like, I don't believe I can lose weight eating food, because she's used to either just going hardcore, just starve, shakes, extreme diet. So telling her that you don't have any medical condition, you can actually eat your rice, you can eat yam, you can eat this. No, it's hard to accept. So with a lot of people that are struggling with their weight, there's usually an underlying root cause that prevents them from either continuing, because weight loss is easy. That's the easy part. Maintaining the weight is where the work is.
So, and how long have you had 40 kg off now, and you're maintaining?
It's been, Ask Damz is 5 years old now, so more than 7 years now. And one of the things, I'm very audacious, very ambitious. If I set a goal, I'd make sure that I hit the goal. So help me God. I remember losing my first 10 kilos, and I went to a party with my husband, and his friend said to me, I know it's one of those extreme diets that you've done. In another 4 to 8 weeks, I know you are like my wife, you're going to gain weight. And I said to myself, nah, Damz, not this time around. So I asked myself questions like, now, what are you going to do to make this sustainable for you? Because you can't do, I'm not eating rice, I'm not eating bread. How are you going to, manage your weight? And you still eat these things. So what I tell people is that just because you had one bad day or you messed up, I'm a coach, but I have bad days where I mess up. But what the difference between me, the Damz who has been able to maintain her weight successfully for 7 years, and the person who feels, is that if I have a bad day, I pick myself up immediately the following day. I'm not gonna just dwell on it and say, oh my God, I'm just helpless, I just can't continue with this anymore. No, I'm gonna be like, okay, I had a bad day yesterday, but just because, as they say, if you have a car that has 4 tires, if you have a bad tire, are you gonna fling the car away or throw the extra 3 good tires away? No, you replace the bad tire. That's all. That is the long and short. That's the key to weight loss, weight management, sustainability, is just trying to live a life of balance and moderation, knowing that you're not perfect. The only perfect being is God. You're gonna have bad days. What are you gonna do when you have the bad days is what counts.
Wow, that's beautiful. But finally now, what would be your final word for somebody who grew up in a single home and they lack this validation and they're showing it everywhere? What would you tell them, in simple sentence or something like that?
Now, if I'm to say it in a single sentence, I'm going to sound like a pastor, but that's my own truth. So I'm going to own my truth.
Okay.
I found validation, proper validation, when I realized who I was as a child of God. I prayed to my Father, I talked to my Father, and I see Him move. I literally see Him move. I pour out my heart. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, I'm like, I know you don't want to see me in this type of mood, so God, what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I need you to change the way I'm feeling.
Wow.
Even in business, I carry that attitude, mentality. Everything I do.
So now being able to come to your Father boldly, as a child.
God at the center of it all is my motto.
Wow, God center of it all. Thank you so much, Coach Damz. I'm so honored. I'm so happy, you came here today, and I can't hold you. I need you to get back home to that your lovely, lovely, lovely husband.
If he's at home.
So guys, you've heard it all from Coach Damz. Look at how she struggled. Look at how she groveled. Look at how, she's tried to gain validation, acceptance, and all of that. But look at how she is today. Healed, healing, doing good, encouraging people, helping other people. This is what you can also do. If you seek help, through therapy, through coaching, through being close with your God, you will surely, surely, surely be able to live a fulfilling life. Till we meet again next time, I always like to leave you with these words. It is never too late to live happily ever after. Bye for now.